Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is nourish. And this verb was suggested by the viewer Luis, so thanks Luis for this great idea. Let's take a moment now to review what this verb means and how we use it. The first way you might see or hear the verb nourish used can mean to provide someone or something with the food or other substances that are necessary for that person or thing to grow, be healthy, or be in a good condition. So many times we talk about food nourishing us, right? Allowing us to have energy, maybe giving us certain vitamins and minerals that are good for our health. Might also hear this used in connection to taking care of children, providing them for the substances that they will need to grow into strong and healthy adults. A second way to use the verb nourish is connected to the ground, so improving the fertility. So this would be doing things that are providing substances that are good for the soil, for its health. So that first and second definition have some connection or relation there. A third way to use the verb nourish means to keep a feeling or belief in one's mind, typically for a long time. I've got an example sentence a little bit later that I think will help us with that. So you might think of keeping this thought in your head. Okay. Finally, a fourth way to use our verb nourish can mean to promote, to keep alive, or to maintain something. So keep it in the same condition. For now, you should know that nourish is a regular verb. To make the progressive form of this verb, all you need to do is add ing to form nourishing. The past tense and participle forms of this verb can be made by adding ed. Now our base verb, nourish, ends with an unvoiced sound, an sh or sh sound. This means our ed ending is going to make a T sound, and we're not going to add an extra syllable as we say it. It should sound like this: nourished, nourished. Okay. Now there aren't any phrasal verbs that we need to study, so instead we can focus on making some example sentences with our verb of the day in a couple different verb tenses. Today we're going to practice the past perfect and the simple future. Let's start with the past perfect. We use this verb tense to talk about completed actions. But what makes it a little different than the simple past tense is that when I use the past perfect, I'm trying to communicate to another person that this action occurred before another action, or it occurred before a certain point in time. Okay? So let's take a look at an example. I should mention, the structure of how we do this. So in the past perfect, all of our sentences are going to stay the same no matter what the subject is. So in the affirmative, we're going to have a subject. We'll use had, the past tense of have, and then we're going to use the participle form of the verb. Here's an example. Over the course of her life, her teachers had nourished and formed her before she became a teacher. Right? So that might go back to that idea of promoting, right? So maybe they were encouraging her. You would be a great teacher. I can see you love to learn, right? But building maybe that feeling within her, and notice it's coming before the action of her becoming a teacher. Now let's take a look at a negative past perfect sentence. To do this, we are going to have our subject. We'll use had not, or the contraction hadn't, and then the participle. Here's our example. They crashed in the middle of the long day because they hadn't nourished themselves. So this is like saying they haven't been eating, right? So they have no energy, right? Lastly, let's talk about making a yes or no question in the past perfect. To do this, start with had, then you're going to use your subject and then the participle form of the verb. Here's another example. Had he nourished this ambition to become a famous actor for a long time? Okay. So here we're going back to that idea of having a feeling in one's mind for an extended period of time. So we're kind of saying maybe this has stuck with them. It's kind of always been a dream. I want to be an actor in movies or TV shows. Okay. Now let's move on to the simple future. And today we're going to focus on making sentences with will. Will is very common as people make predictions and promises. It's also common with offers. You might also hear it as people discuss their plans. The nice thing about making sentences in the simple future with will is that our structure stays the same no matter what our subject is. So in the affirmative, we have our subject, we have will, and then the base verb. You can see that in my example. These new gardens will nourish the bodies and minds of neighborhood children. So here, maybe we're announcing the start of something new, a new project where there are going to be gardens and we'll be sort of involving local children in the process. So here, right, we're saying the food that comes out of this garden, right, it's going to promote their health, it's going to feed them. But then we're also saying, right, it can promote and grow their minds as well. Now let's look at making a negative sentence in the simple future with will. To do this, start with your subject, use will not, and then the base verb. You can see that here. That food won't nourish you, right? So maybe I'm talking about candy, chips, junk food of some kind, right? Kind of reminding someone, right? You're going to be hungry later, or maybe you're going to have that sugar crash from that food. Finally, let's look at making a yes or no question in the simple future with will. To do this, start with will, then have your subject, then the base verb. Here's another example. Will this body lotion nourish our skin? As I looked for examples of this verb, I have to tell you, I saw this a lot related to skincare, things related to makeup, even nails, nourishing. So again, we can kind of think about keeping things healthy, promoting their growth as well. Now, let's spend a moment looking at some words that are related to our verb nourish. The first word we're going to discuss today is the noun nourishment. This noun can have a couple different meanings we're going to discuss too. So the first would be to describe the food or maybe some other substance that is needed for growth, health, and one's good condition. An example of this might be World Central Kitchen offers nourishment to people after natural disasters. This is a large nonprofit organization who makes it their mission to make sure people have really good food as they deal with and recover from natural disasters. It could be things like earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, etc. A second way to use the noun nourishment is to talk about the action of nourishing someone or something. An example of this might be, the city will begin a large-scale beach nourishment project later this year. So here we're maybe back to that idea of maintaining the condition or the quality of the beach. Another related word you might encounter is the noun nourisher. This is a person or thing that nourishes. An example of this lip balm is a great nourisher. Again, you might see this in a lot of beauty-related products. So things like lotion and makeup, lip balm, right? Something that goes on one's lips. Another related word you might encounter is the adjective nourishable. This means capable or able of receiving nourishment. An example of this: you can enjoy these nourishable, healthy recipes any night of the week. I saw a sentence very similar to this as someone was promoting their new cookbook, right? And trying to suggest, right, that these were healthy things that were going to be good for one. Thank you again to Luis for suggesting today's verb. Anyone watching is always welcome to make a suggestion for future verbs as well. Thank you all so much for watching today. I hope you have a great day.